Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be a Rory Gilmore Reading challenge. I will be going through the list of this challenge that I will be linking down below, and I will be seeing how many books I have read out of her list. I don't think I will have a lot of similar books to Rory because she tends to read more classics, and I consider myself a classics beginner. I've only started liking them in the past few years, so let's just get started. I will only be talking about the books that I have read because she has read 339 books. First book on this list is 1984 by George Orwell, which I have read and I did like it. The second book I have read is Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. I also have read this one and in French as well. Atonement by Ian McEwan is on my TBR. I have seen great things about it recently. And also The Awakening by Kate Chopin is also on my TBR. Recently I have seen two people talk about it, two people that I trust their recommendations. The Bell Jar is also on my TBR. I have read The Count of Monte Cristo this year. Great revenge story. Crime and Punishment is on my TBR. I'm hoping to read it in the end of December or the big January because I always like to start or end my year with really long books. Dead Souls by Nikolai Gogol is on my TBR. I have heard so many great things about this author, but I have not read it. Demons by Dostoevsky is also my TBR. I want to read everything that Dostoevsky has written. So far I have only read two, The Idiot and Notes from the Underground, but I want to read more from him. Notes from the Underground is my favorite. Don Quixote is also on my TBR. I just bought it recently, so it has to wait a little bit more until I pick it up, but it's on my TBR. I will read it eventually. Emma is one of my favorite books by Jane Austen. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, I have read it and it's one of my favorite classics. I did not expect to love it that much, and it was such a surprising read because I did not know much about the story of Frankenstein. Frankenstein in my mind was this green creature. That's what I thought, but it's so much better than that. It's so beautifully written. I think right now it's the best classic I've ever read, so I love that book. Harry Potter the Sorcerer's Stone. I've only read the first and the second book of Harry Potter. I prefer watching the movies. I have no intention to read them, so we have here the first Harry Potter's book. I have read that one. I see a lot of Shakespeare's works in here. I have never read anything by Shakespeare, but I want to try something by him. I just don't know what, and I'm not sure I'm going to like it, so that's why I'm a little bit hesitant on reading anything by him, but I would love to someday read something by him. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I have read that one and it's also one of my favorite classics. Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini, one of my favorite books. This book is set in Afghanistan and I love Khaled Hosseini's works. I have read two of his books, this one and A Thousand Splendid Suns. I think he has another book. I think he has written three overall, but I don't remember the third one's name. I have not read it. Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. It's one of my favorite classics as well. I have read it a few years ago, I think, and I'm planning to reread it this year in November and December for the Game of Thrones book club that is hosted by Emma and Caroline. Lord of the Flies. I have read this one a few years ago. It's basically about a bunch of kids who get stuck on an island or something, and chaos starts ensuing. I don't think I liked it as much, but I also, at that time, I didn't really like classics, so I don't know if it's the book's fault or my fault. The Master and the Margarita. I have read this one this year. It was unfortunately a disappointment. I was hoping that it's going to be one of my favorite classics, but it wasn't, unfortunately. So Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I love this one. Nights by Elie Wiesel. This is the first nonfiction I think that I have read in this list. This talks about Elie Wiesel and his time in concentration camps. Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I have had to read this one for university. I don't remember much of it, but I don't remember liking it as much as everyone did. But I think that's because as I had to read it, that's why my enjoyment wasn't as much as if I had picked it up by myself. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I have read this one the first time, did not like it. I have read it the second time. It's one of my favorites. So I think rereading classics is the solution for me. So yes, I have read this one and I do love it. I also love the adaptation of it of Ben Barnes. He did such a good job. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I have read this one a while ago and I definitely want to reread it. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I don't remember reading this book, but my Goodreads tells me that I have read it. So, but I have no memory of reading this book, and I have no idea what it's about. So I think it was just a mistake that I probably wanted to add it to want to read, added it to read, but Goodreads tells me I have read it. I don't think I have. So it is on my TBR. I want to read it. The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I have read this book and I hated it so much. I think I gave this one 2 stars. Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. This is my least favorite Austen novel, but I only have read 3. The Shadow of the Wind. I have read this one and I did love it. It's a fantasy about a boy who finds a book and then he falls in love with it, and he tries to find more books by this author, but he realizes that there is someone who is going around taking that author's books and burning them, and so we're going on a journey to find out who is this person, why is he burning them. I have read The Time Traveler's Wife. I did enjoy it. I have read To Kill a Mockingbird, but I don't really have that much recollection of it. I don't remember what it's about really, but I remember reading it and I remember enjoying it. That's what I remember. The Triad by Franz Kafka is on my TBR. I want to read everything by Franz Kafka. I've only read one thing, that's the Metamorphosis, but it's on my TBR. Hopefully I get to it very soon. I have read Wuthering Heights. I just finished it recently. I'm going to talk about it more in my wrap-up. And as expected, I did horribly. I did 22 out of 339. I was expecting that I would go into at least have like 30 or something, but it's 22. It's that you did better than 40% of users on this list. Your rank is 289,174. So you didn't beat the average score of 51, so I did not do it very good, which I did expect, to be honest, because I've only recently started reading classics. Let me know if you have done this test. How many books have you read? As always, I will see you in another video very soon. Goodbye.